Well, the quality might not be there, but we're here for it. We would not be called Stadium Pulse if we didn't have this for you today. We got some major leakage for the next college football NCAA 26, the deluxe edition cover. Can you even make out who's on that screen there, Nick?
I can only make out a couple. I see Kirby, I see Uga, I see Ryan Williams, I see the dude who absolutely blew Tennessee up, number 4 there in the front. I don't know who the Penn State guy is. Of course, there's their coach. I think to the left of the duck, is that Williams from USC? No, I know who that is. That's Kiffin. It's Kiffin because I think is that Lagway? We're in 2.
Wow, we're trying this hard. So let me say this as we welcome you into the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. Again, the quality. Why is the quality so bad? This is a screenshot taken off of a computer. I wish we could get you some color, but this is what we got for you. So, again, welcome to Stadium Pulse. We wouldn't be able to call it this and continue calling it if we didn't have this for you this morning. I'm Jason Hamby. We got Tennessee Nick in the booth. And to say that I was like, what in the world, when I saw Kirby Smart on the cover of the video game, well, that would be an understatement. But we got an hour of college football talk for you. We'll get more into that in just a second. And, man, spring practice is already starting. You start to feel it. We're getting back out there on the grass. There's some rumors. There's some practice notes. There's some storylines coming out. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. What do we? How much longer do we got? We got 6 months. Are we halfway through already? Almost from the start of the next season. It feels like it. We might be less than 6 months now. And it's a good time. It's a good time, and we got a lot for you today. Appreciate y'all watching. Hope y'all hop in the chat with us. As always, we always appreciate that. And we got a new committee that I won't spend too much time on because y'all know how we like to do it on here. I kind of take these big reports that we've been getting over the offseason, and there's been a lot of them because change is a-coming. And I try to break it down so you don't have to go in there and spend your day reading them because they are quite complicated at times. So back to that video game graphic right quick. Nick, you don't even have to pull it up there. Well, actually, yeah, go ahead and if you can. We got Kirby Smart. We got Lane Kiffin on there. We got Ryan Day. We got Mr. James Franklin, who screams video game cover. All of these guys scream video game cover. The Fighting Kenny Dillingham is also on there. He made an appearance. He's somewhere in there if you can make him out. Right there in the on the front. This is taken. Nick, can you guess where this is? Do you know?
If I'm guessing, looking at the stadium, I mean, I wish I could make whatever the clock is in the background out. It's a bowl, single-level stadium, so I'm thinking, is it Rose Bowl?
That's very good. You earned your pay today. Congratulations. And no, I did not tell him ahead of time. Here's the problem, though. It's cool that it's at the Rose Bowl, but it's like the bleachers isn't what makes the Rose Bowl. And I know that if you zoom out and you try to get more of it, you're even going to be able to see less of these guys. But, I can't, most people still probably won't even know that that's the Rose Bowl. So, it looks like just regular old bleachers right there because that's the same bleachers that you get everywhere else. Anyway, right there in the front, you got Jeremiah Smith from Ohio State. You got Ryan Williams. Yeah, I mean.
Who's the guy next to Kirby?
That's Reggie Bush.
Oh.
Nick, this is one of the things.
Kind of random. And the IU flag in the background is also, they one good season of IU football. And no disrespect to them. Why is there an IU flag here?
I mean,
and then was it the Michigan State Spartan in the back center? No, or is that somebody else in a striped shirt? I can't tell.
Yeah.
Like, what about the poor guys in the back? Can't nobody tell who they are when this isn't blown up?
There's a lot of funny things about this. Okay. So, first off, you can think of them conjuring up their idea of how we're going to make this video game, who we're going to include. And they're like, well, now in the new age of NIL, why don't we just take Reggie Bush and throw him next to Jeremiah Smith and Ryan Williams and Kirby Smart? After all, we're in the new age of NIL, and we screwed the guy for 2 decades. So, yeah, hey, man, here's a little consolation for you. You can be on the cover of the 2026 video game. I feel like that was it, because what else could it be? I mean, Tim Tebow's on there. He's in there somewhere.
I think right over the Gator player, right over his shoulder.
You have one player, I believe, in this that has never played a down of college football yet, and that's Bryce Underwood. He's going to be the
Michigan kid.
He's the new star at Michigan.
I don't know who that was.
So he's yet to play a down, but he's in there. And he's he's the top guy out of last year's class, and no, he's almost. If his name was Manning, he would have had more hype than Manning, Arch Manning.
Arch isn't even featured in this,
and that's my point. Arch Manning is not in this. You would have thought the Heat might have even been the cover. If he would have been the solo cover, you might not have liked it, but you would have been like, yeah, I get it. He's the biggest name. He's not even in the thing. Last point on this, and it's kind of hilarious to me. So we get Kirby Smart obviously there. The word is, because this happened 2 days ago, the word is that he missed Georgia's pro day to be there.
Huh.
Which obviously, the head coach, that guy sells his own players to NFL scouts and NFL head coaches probably more than anybody. Track record speaks for itself. It's not like him missing the pro day is going to do nothing. But just kind of funny that he missed being there for that. And so that will take us right into Georgia's pro day. It was, I believe it was Wednesday. And I got a couple notes from you out of there. Obviously, it's funny. I mean, we got like 13 draft-eligible guys, I believe it is, out of Georgia. And perhaps all of the eyes from the fan base weren't on any of those 13 guys. It was on another guy, and that guy would be Gunnar Stockton, because he was the one throwing to the receivers. Obviously, they don't have Carson Beck. He's down in Miami. So Carson Beck's the one throwing to Arian Smith, throwing to Dom Lovett, throwing to Ben Urasic, throwing to ETN out of the backfield. And those videos are out there of Gunnar Stockton, multiple throws, not just a handful, but quite a few minutes of throws. And look, as a football starved person who's admittedly football starved, anything I can get my hands on to see what my new quarterback's going to look like, because I've only seen 6 quarters of the guy, I'm going to watch. And so I enjoyed watching that, and he made all the throws. It's crazy. He's making the same throws that the guys are making in the combine. It just looks different. The thing with Gunnar Stockton, obviously, is the long motion. He kind of brings it all the way back here before releasing the football. It's still not that slow. It's just a little different. And you would guess that it would be slower. I'm sure it is slower than Beck, because Beck had a really quick one, and the quicker the better, obviously. But will that impact? Will that impact with hands in his face, with big 6'6" D lineman coming up, being right there, and fumble issues? Could that be a thing? We'll see. But nonetheless, Gunnar Stockton made some nice throws. At one point, they asked him to just see how far he could throw it and try to overthrow Arian Smith, and he actually ended up doing that. But that was cool. As for the guys that they were actually there to see, Dan Jackson, Chaz Chambliss had a chance to kind of rewrite the wrongs. They were non-combine invitees. If you ask me, we talked about it on this show. They got screwed out of that, because I believe it. I mean, I would bet the house that Dan Jackson is a draft pick. I would bet it all that he's going to go at some point in the draft, and he won't be a UDFA. Chaz Chambliss, I don't know, but I would have said both deserve. If they were on other teams, they would have definitely been there. But obviously, we got 13 guys. I guess that plays a role. But it looks like they both did real well. Michael Williams ran. He's a projected first-round pick, top 15, something in that range. at D end. From you don't get official times or anything like that at pro days, but everybody in the notes said they had him around a 4.7 40, 4.7 something, not 4.7 flat, but 4.7 something. And if you think that's slow, like the guy's not a true edge. Like Jalen Walker is your edge / hybrid / play every position on the field and really come off the edge. Mike Hill's going to have his hand in the dirt. So if you're running 4.7 like that with those long arms, that's the Trent Baalke special. That'll play. Malachi Starks, safety, another first-round projection. He made another unbelievable play that if you're a Georgia fan or just a football fan in general, you're probably pretty familiar with when the ball's up in the air and he makes a leaping grab and jumps over the rope that's right there on the sideline. Can we move that back next time, please, so we don't get that guy hurt? That would be awesome. But it was a good showing, it looked like, from at Pro Day. Has Tennessee had theirs yet, Nick?
Yeah, they had it, I think, last week. I was just looking at the...
How many guys do y'all have that are dudes that are coming out other than Pierce?
Sampson. There's a couple of D-line guys.
Yep, Sampson.
Man,
really Sampson is so underrated.
That could get some play. He was actually pretty solid the last year and last season. Dante Thornton, a under-the-radar sort of receiver. He got hurt year before last. Didn't play a ton. Kind of broke out this year, but didn't have a super great year.
Yeah.
But still ran, I think the fastest. He ran top 5 fastest 40 time at the Combine because he actually went to the Combine. Anybody that takes a waiver on Brew, I think Brew could slide honestly to tight end and be a pretty good tight end. Brew did run a 40, I think. Faster 40 than I thought he'd run because Brew's a bigger guy. But really, it's kind of the rotational depth on the D-line of who we have coming out, plus Brew, Dante Thornton, and then Sampson, which Sampson got knocked because he didn't run the 40 at the Combine, but he ran his 40 at the Pro Day, and
he should have ran
a 4.46 and a 4.49.
I mean, look, I think what continues to baffle me as I look in this draft class, and I mean, we're now 5 weeks away to the NFL draft, or maybe 6, is how deep the running back class is. And, I mean, Dylan Sampson, as the SEC's leading rusher, is like a 5th or 6th round projection. And that's going to be a steal from somebody, and there's a lot of them. Like R.J. Harvey he set a ton of records at UCF, and he's kind of in the same boat, 4th, 5th, 6th round, something like that. There's a ton of them. Which, again, I'm sure it's going to happen, and I'm not going to be that guy because, I don't even think he was there necessarily in the Heisman. We had that conversation when that was up. But if you're going to take Ashton Jeanty in the 1st round, in the top 15, you better believe he's Saquon Barkley. And he's that much better than the rest of the field because there are some dudes. You're talking about you lead the SEC in rushing, Dylan Sampson, and you're a 5th, 6th round projection, and I can get that. We're not gonna get too much into NFL draft talk just now, but holy cow! When is it's baffling to me. If you lead the best conference in running the conference that is known for the toughest to run the football with the trenches that the SEC, we don't even have to explain it. It's the SEC and it's running the football, and he led the entire conference in rushing yards. And he's what? He's a 6th rounder.
I don't see the class is deep. I don't think he'll fall to the 6th. He might now because he didn't run the 40 at the Combine. He did everything else but run the 40. Why he didn't run the 40, I don't know. But look, if he falls to the 6th, whoever swings on him in the 6th, I think is going to get a hit.
Mm-hmm.
And sure, it's a bit of a homer thing to say, but Sampson kind of is reminiscent of a Jahmyr Gibbs or an Alvin Kamara. He's really shifty and really good at breaking tackles at the 2nd level. And if he can beat the 2nd level, the 3rd level is not going to touch him.
Mm-hmm.
So I have full faith that Sampson is going to be a very good running back at the next level in the NFL. But yeah, to that note, SEC running back should not be 3rd-day picks unless you're the 2nd string guy on a team and you totaled 800 yards while Buddy was 1st string, totaled 1,500. that's a different story. But when you're the league leading rusher, it's wild, truthfully, yes, that it's not bringing more prominence to him to be at least a second-day pick.
Right.
But falling to a third-day thing is kind of wild because, sure, the fumble thing happened where he lost one in 4 straight games, I think, or 5 straight, whatever it was, and whatnot, is a bad knock, sure, but that's not something that was like, he didn't lose one every game of every season every game he's ever played. It was just a bad spell, and he figured it out and didn't have a problem, I think, in the Vanderbilt game. And then, obviously, the Ohio State game, he'd gotten tweaked in that Vanderbilt game and wasn't fully healthy for it.
Oh, yeah, barely played.
So he played, I think, 3 or 6 snaps, and then he was done.
Yeah.
But I think it is wild, to your point.
And that game was over.
Yeah.
As soon as he was off of the field.
Yeah. It was over by the first quarter.
Yeah.
That game, that blew up. And that's not really a knock on anybody in that section of the bracket that drew Ohio State. Ohio State, I don't know how to explain what they went on in the playoffs to get to where they got and to win the whole thing. They wanted it more than anybody else in the whole field. And they proved that they could do just whatever they wanted offensively.
Yeah.
In the first 2 games between Tennessee and Oregon. I mean, blew the doors off of them.
Still baffles me. Deserving winner. All right, going from Georgia's Pro Day to the start of spring practice. Again, spring practice is underway everywhere. And so we're starting to get some notes. We're starting to get some, a lot of these. I mean, I'm already seeing tweets on my timeline from UCF's 3rd spring practice that just got underway in the last couple minutes. And, they have very limited availability to reporters. Obviously, they don't want anything leaked or anything, like that. I know Georgia gives you 10 minutes to come out here and watch practice. And, they do that before, your playoff games as well. And half the time, Georgia goes out there and does yoga. And it's not just Georgia, a lot of the other teams, because they just don't want you to see anything. But, these, you're getting 10 minutes of actual practice. So at the very least, you're getting your first look at the newcomers in filling your team's, jersey, right? Across, this is, that's number one. It's just cool, right? To see the guys that you've been tracking, seeing the guys that you're excited for finally in your jersey. But spring practice is there. Spring practice is underway. And at Georgia, those players are namely, I think, the coolest players that you're just looking at and you're like, man, it's good to see them finally in that jersey is, well, first of all, Colby Young is back. And we've mentioned him quite a few times. That's your 6'3" receiver that you missed a lot last year, that he transferred in. He was off to a strong start last year. He was your top. He was going to be your big receiver on the outside, and some off-the-field stuff that he's, I believe, since been completely cleared of, but it just took forever, and I think he ended up playing, I think he might have had 11 catches on the year, maybe 3 games, something like that, 3 or 4 games that he played, and he was expected to be one of your top contributors. And then look at one of the biggest reasons that Georgia, you took a step back on all fronts last year and you didn't reach your expectations, is because your receiver play was relatively bad. It wasn't just like subpar. It was bad. Between, not getting open, between just dropping the football at alarming rates. You set, you held, you were at the top of the stat sheet as far as the D1 level, Power 4 level of drops from your receivers. And that really bit you. I mean, you look at all the games that we lost, there was very little separation, and when there was, we were dropping the football or missing assignments, missing calls, not blocking. Well, Colby Young would have been a big part of that, and he's back. And Kirby Smart, when he talked in his press conference, said he'll be good to go. So that's big. The other two that I think, if I was there, I'd be stoked to these would be the first 2 guys that I took pictures of. Is number 1, Elias Wilson, your new 6'7" tight end freak athlete, going to be your new Darnell Washington, but I believe a little faster. Darnell Washington is just an absolute unit. This guy's a little thinner, Elias, and he can run, is what I've seen. So he's your first one. That's a lot of size in the passing game that you missed last year as well. 6'7" there. Slot him in at the tight end. And Nick, actually, I should know this. This is bad on my part. Look this up for me. Is Elias Williams, is he Camden County? I think he's in our area.
Yeah, he's Camden County.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I know he's in an area we cover, so he's not too far up the road, Camden County. So he's number one, and the other one would be Noah Thomas, the guy that you just got transferred in. He's 6'5" receiver and a little thinner. So Colby Young's going to be 6'3", 210, right? Bulky, tall, and Noah Thomas is going to be 6'5", taller but skinnier and faster. And immediately, I just gotta believe if you're there at practice, it's a breath of fresh air knowing what your receiver room looked like last year with Dylan Bell, kind of like a transformed running back at times, who's a great athlete, but not a traditional receiver, not a ton of size. Dom Lovett, who's undersized, or not undersized, but not a big guy, a kind of a gadget possession, fast dude. And then Arian Smith, who's your track star, like you had no size. You had none. Arian Smith is fast, but he ain't tall, and he ain't bulky. He's not you can jam him at the line of scrimmage. So to look out there and see, oh, wow, there's Elias Williams. Oh, there's Noah Thomas, and we got Colby Young back. Georgia's going to have size again. Georgia's going to be able to throw the deep ball and catch it on some heads again. And I got to believe that's going to be huge. That's going to play to Gunnar Stockton's strength to be able to throw the football up and know that's going to know that it's going to get caught. We're going to be able to win the 50-50 ball because we didn't do that last year. And then, by the way, perhaps the best receiver out of all these guys is Zach Branch. Now, he's the gadget, he's the slot, he's the possession, and he's the biggest transfer that you got in your entire class coming over from USC. Then you add him in. And so you still got that kind of aspect of he's better than, I got to believe. And Dylan Bell is back, by the way. So, something that if you're a Georgia fan, something that you need to be tracking all offseason long, and your expectation should be that this is the best Georgia's receivers room has been in at least the last 4 years. At least the last 4. I mean, this should be a better receiver room than your national championship teams. And I know that's a bit, but I'll say specifically receiver because a big part of your national championship teams was Brock Bowers, obviously. So I'm not saying that the total receiving core, anybody that can be a weapon, your offensive weapons per se are better, but your specifically receivers should be a pretty big upgrade. And I believe that'll play that'll have immediate impact as soon as we see him step on the field this fall. Last note from spring practice: Nate Frazier is your RB1. He's going to have the full workload. They're both Robinsons, Rod and Broderick. I don't think they've been out there yet. Still don't know. Obviously, you got Cash Jones, who's the fan favorite. You got Chauncey Bowens. Who knows what his involvement will be? But hey, if it feels like the coaching staff is like, Nate Frazier, it's yours until it's not. Show up the fumble problems, and you're the guy. Be ready for 15 to 20 totes every single game. So that's Georgia. That's my notes coming out of their first couple spring practices. And now we go down to UCF. As you know, if you're a returning watcher of Stadium Pulse, we really try to lock in on 5 teams, the biggest 5 teams that in Jacksonville that fans are watching, and a little bit of Tennessee because obviously we got Tennessee Nick, so we got 6 kind of. So you might get a little bit more Tennessee talk than maybe you're used to from a Jacksonville show, but we're covering. Nick's got something to say.
No, I got nothing to say. I just perked back up when you started talking Tennessee. Of course, you're going to get a little bit more UT talk going on now.
Yeah.
And there is only one UT. I'm sorry. Texas don't matter.
There you have it. But obviously our 5 are Georgia, UCF, FSU, UF, and Miami. And so the team that I have the most notes on, obviously, coming out of spring practice are Georgia and UCF, right? There's a lot out of UF. We spent a lot of time on Florida. We spent a lot of time on Lagway and the shoulder injury last week. So if that's news to you, which it most likely isn't, but if it is, you can always go back on YouTube and watch that. And we broke that down last week. Not a whole lot of notes out of Miami before we get to UCF. Not a whole lot of notes out of Miami. They did get a big recruit, a 2027 DB. So he just recruited. That's Kitten Thompson. So that was a big get for them, but I don't think I've seen much of anything as far as the spring practice themselves. I'm not sure what's going on there. Same thing with FSU. I got nothing for you today. As far as notes or anything I've seen out of spring practice. Florida, obviously, they're still monitoring the Lagway injury, the shoulder injury that we talked about. I guess the good news, or the only thing that's new in the last couple of days, is they've pretty much ruled out surgery. And I don't know if that's 100% confirmed, but that's what our sources are saying, that surgery's off the table, that this is just something they're going to continue to monitor week in and week out or day by day. But the concern, this is from Pete Nakos of On3. He's this huge transfer guy. On3's really been the new wave as far as being one of the biggest, if not the biggest, in as far as in college football news and transfer and recruiting and all that. But he's saying that the big concern is that Lagway might not throw all spring. That might just be, surgery's off the table, but throwing might be off the table as well. So there's some good and there's some bad news there. Lagway might just be mental reps and handing the football off all the way until the summertime. So obviously that's not ideal, but again, as we mentioned last week, as long as the guy's 100% by September, whatever, for the opener, there shouldn't be really too much alarm here, if any, because he's going to be fine. That's what the indications are, that they've kind of just got to play this out, be patient, even if it's frustrating, and do the best they can with mental reps. As far as that can take you, I don't know, but he'll be good to go when the time comes. All right, UCF, got a couple notes there. So obviously, completely new regime. Scott Frost in, and one of the things that we talked a lot about in his first press conference, his opening press conference, is the reporters are asking about UCF fast, right? We know that if you've followed any college football, and maybe you're not a UCF fan, but you remember the team that at least claims a national championship. It was the fastest in college football. It rivaled Chip Kelly's offense back in the day at Oregon, where they were running a play. It seemed like every 10, 15 seconds they were on the ball, no huddle, let's go. And they kind of termed that phrase. And the question that question was posed to Scott Frost, I believe, multiple times in that opening press conference, because it's like, well, how much are we going to see from that? Because since that, you went to Nebraska, where it's slower, and then you went to the NFL with the Rams, which is obviously slower. No team in the NFL even comes close to what UCF was doing. So how much did you learn, / how much are you going to take from those two stops, bring it back, and are we going to see a slower offense at UCF? I told you that I would believe that to be the case, that it would be silly for me to think that he's just going to go right back to that, the up-tempo, the lightning fast stuff, and he's not going to pull from some of that. And I still believe that to be the case. But a couple of players, I believe, have talked in the first week of spring practice and saying, man, the tempo has been nuts. The first couple of practices have been insanely fast as far as tempo, as far as the offense goes. And I'm not just talking about the speed of practice of one thing to another. No, I'm talking about specifically the offense and everything they've been doing. At least from the first couple practices, the players say, yeah, it's an adjustment because we are going at a lightning pace. So will that continue? Who knows? Will that really be the calling card, the staple, the identity of UCF's offense in 2026 and beyond, in Frost's second tenure there? I don't know, but it's got to be in the bag to be able to pull out at times. That's for sure. Obviously, the biggest question at UCF is going to be, who's the quarterback? Who is the quarterback? Because at this point, you have a 4 QB battle. You have a 4-guy battle between Risk, who was your starter at times last year, at the end of last year, who really never should have been, and that's not a slight to him. That's, if everything went according to plan, he was the 4th guy last year and ended up being the starter. So what's his role going to be? Does he have a shot at the starting job? Who knows? Then you brought in Cam Fancher, FAU, who he has been a starter at least one time or another at 2 different stops, FAU being the latest of those. He's in the mix. He's the lefty. He was the first transfer that you got in this past offseason's transfer portal. And then you got Ja'Cory Brown coming back, who was the big runner, big physical runner, but fast, the opposite of KJ Jefferson in that regard, can make guys miss. But how is he as a thrower of the football? It was frustrating at times to watch last year. Does he have a shot at it? And then kind of the biggest name, per se, that you got was Taven Jackson, who's coming over from Indiana. He was the guy that was made some headlines because he transferred before the college football playoff, before Indiana played in it. He wasn't the only guy. Pribula did the same thing at Penn State. But Taven Jackson's the biggest name, right? And does his inexperience, how much does that play a factor? He's played some, but obviously not a whole lot. I'll tell you this: UCF on their social media put out just a couple of videos from practice, and they threw in one throw from Taven Jackson, and again, football starved. Again, taking one little thing and blowing it up. That's kind of what I'm doing here, and I admit it. But one Taven Jackson throw, and I'm just like, oh man, that's gonna be that's a breath of fresh air, because it was a layered throw with some pace but some touch. And my first thought, and it probably was yours too if you saw it, was KJ Jefferson is not making that throw. It was the throw over a linebacker trying to run back and get to the guy. It looked like, it was a condensed clip, so you couldn't see the whole play, but it looks like a receiver on a deep over crossing the hash marks, and he fits it in right here. It's like, man, a little touch would be nice, because we didn't get that with KJ. It was either a dart or the ball was in the ground. And that's kind of all you had. And that was it. So, again, I'm looking at, yes, it's March 14th. It's Pi Day, actually. Nick, how many digits you got for me?
3.14.
Had a baby. Yes, it's March 14th, and that means I am spending a couple of minutes on one single throw in one practice from one QB at UCF, and I'm not ashamed to do so. So you got the quarterback battles, obviously, the story out of UCF so far, will continue to be until a starter is named, which we don't foresee happening for a very long time. Grinch, DC, on the defensive side of the ball, he talked yesterday, and his biggest thing was, the effort is the expectation, right? And he kind of talked about that, people believe that giving maximum and full effort, they almost believe, maybe even subconsciously, that should deserve extra credit. And he was just talking about the speed that they're going to play with, the tempo, getting to the ball, everything like that, everything that you expect to hear, but also at the same time, just good to hear from guys in the offseason, especially a new coach on the defensive side of the ball. Want to get to this comment. Connor McNally says, which program takes the biggest jump this year? UF, FSU, Miami? If we're getting technical by the question, appreciate the question, Connor. Biggest jump as far as win-loss? It's got to be FSU, because, you can't go 2-10 again. Like, they're going to have, of those three teams, they're going to have the biggest jump. I would be shocked. It's not impossible based off of what we saw last year, but, if they win 6 games this year, that's a 4-game jump. There's no shot in my mind that UF takes a 4-game jump given their schedule, and there's no shot Miami gives a 4-game jump, because that's not even possible. They lost 2 football games, and so as far as that goes, I think Miami, there's a shot they take one step back and are still contenders there in the ACC, because they got Beck, so they're going to be solidified at the most important position, obviously. And I'm not saying he's Cam Ward, but in the ACC, Beck's going to light it up, and he's going to be, as long as he stays healthy and as long as he's locked in and fully recovered from this elbow injury, I fully expect him to be the ACC's leading passer, and their offense to be phenomenal, and they still hang 40, 50 points a game. Defense, I don't know. It's always a question mark. in recent years with Miami. So obviously, there's not much better they can get. They're not going undefeated. I'll tell you that. UF, as far as the best, ceiling, it's obviously Florida. It's obviously Florida, in my opinion. This is a team that's ascending in the right direction. Got the quarterback. Obviously, that he's as long as he's fully healthy. Now the schedule is the schedule. Like the schedule is very difficult. I'm not going to say that it's not, which is the reason I would be shocked if they were to win 10 games. We're looking at an 8-4, 9-3 type year for Florida again. I would believe, but yeah. So I hope that answers your question. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I'll give you the real quick latest on this new board of commissioners that we've got of athletic directors enforcing some rules as college football and the landscape continues to change and we try to get a rein on things. Dan Mullen is in a hilarious situation. Nick Saban's getting in trouble for the language. I'll explain that. And we'll wrap things up here on a Friday. Appreciate y'all watching. We'll be right back on Stadium Pulse, the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network.
When it comes to trucks, I know exactly what I want. And at Bozard Ford, they make it easy to get exactly that. Let's go make this truck a little more my style. With Bozard Built, I can create my perfect truck right here. Lift kit? Check. Premium wheels? You bet. Advanced lighting package? Oh yeah. The Bozard team works their magic. From bumper to tailgate, I'm making this truck mine. It's everything that I wanted and more. From the field to the gym to weekend adventures. This truck's built for my journey. Bozard Built. Customized for your lifestyle, built to exceed your expectations. Check out the inventory and available options at bozardbuilt.com. Unleash your dream ride. Customized, covered, and Bozard approved.
When it's time to get a new car for anyone in your family, just remember, nobody but Nimnick, the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville. Get the latest price breaks on 2023 and 2024 models or the newest 2025 vehicles in the showroom on Phillips Highway or shop online at nimnickbuickgmc.com 24 hours a day. GMC Sierras, Yukons, and the redesigned Acadias, or get the all-new redesigned line with Buicks. It's nobody but Nimnick, and part of the reason why is this is a first-class buying experience here at Nimnick Buick GMC. You're not just a customer, you're a friend. This is about getting a vehicle that best fits you and getting you on the road, and also helping you and your family down the road. Nimnick has a treating you right guarantee, courtesy, respect, fairness, and most Buicks, GMCs, and Jacksonville's only Car Bravo dealer, nobody but Nimnick. Who has put in the most years and stands behind a better experience? Nobody but Nimnick. GMC, we are professional grade. If you need a quality play this football season at your home, call That One Painter First Coast. Locally owned and operated, experienced employees, no builder-grade materials. And there's more, and for that, we throw it to Noah Schlicksup. That One Painter First Coast can apparently help your kicking game, too.
Well, after my failure on skinny sticks last year on Creekside game day, I've spent a lot of time out here at Creekside practicing my kicks. There's only one issue. How is that even possible? The good news is I know exactly who can help. That One Painter can handle all your painting needs, from field goal posts to cabinets to stucco. They got you covered. Though they may not be able to help with my kicking, they can certainly help with the posts. Call That One Painter First Coast today for all your painting needs at 904-495-1373.
2024 provided plenty of memorable moments for the Jacksonville Armada on the pitch, including another conference championship game appearance for Tommy Krasanovich's under-23 men's team. Debuting this year for the first time, the girls in blue as the Armada fielded a women's under-23 side in the WPSL and made its presence known with some highlight moments.
Potential goal of the season!
Then attention turned to the future, with MLS Next teams representing the Armada badge in 3 age divisions this fall, including an under-19 squad ranking among the best in the state. Those teams are a big focus on Fleet and Footy, covering the big soccer stories each week on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
I'll put one in the back of the net for you.
Join us for player profiles, fun interviews, and the very latest on the Fleet and all things footy. That's every Thursday at 2 p.m.
Welcome back to Stadium Pulse on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. This is a clean program, if you haven't already gathered that. We try to keep it PG at all times. Every once in a while, if we get extra excited, you might get a dang or dad gum, especially from that guy there in the booth. But we're not venturing into the shallow waters as Nick Saban is. Nick, why do you watch College Game Day? When you watch it, why do you watch it?
Because it's a dang good program.
Okay.
Wait, pause. Program.
Program. It's a good program. Do you watch it to gain football knowledge?
Maybe a little bit, but I ain't going to say I'm going there with my notebook, taking my notes down, studying for the day, what storyline I need to follow. No, I'm not doing all that.
You're not going to College Game Day to learn about the X's and O's?
No.
You go there to learn what a 3-tech is and this zone scheme or anything like that?
No, the only technique you need is beers and barbecue on Saturdays, buddy. You don't need no X's and O's.
Nick Saban has gotten some complaints sent to the FCC. If you don't know what the FCC is, they are the airwaves that, hey, we're not sanctioned by them, so technically we can kind of say whatever we want, but we won't, we promise. They sanction everything as far as what's good for viewers and everything like that, especially on big TV, big radio. So Saban has gotten 3 FCC complaints for his time over College Game Day last season because of his word choices. I want to read this quote, and I want to read it very carefully. But here we go. Quote, this is a complaint from a viewer. Quote, Nick Saban said the S word twice, the B word once, and something else I can't remember. I tune in to College Game Day to gain knowledge and insight on college football, not to have profanity stuffed in my face by a former coach trying to be funny. It will continue until you find them $1 million or more. Chinchy fines accomplish nothing. First of all, I've never heard of that word chinchy in my life. So maybe this person is just a vocab nerd and studying Merriam. And really, they're kind of trying to gain some knowledge on football because they've been stuffed in the dictionary all their life, and so they know all these fancy words and they want to hear that. You go to college game day to gain football knowledge? No. They're freaking kicking 50, 40-yard field goals for millions of dollars and making fun of people half the time. That's the whole point. If you go to gain football knowledge, hey, I got an idea. You can come to Stadium Pulse on Fridays. Maybe you'll learn a little bit more about football here than you will on College Game Day. But, Nick, our hands are in the air because Nick Saban, a guy who, here's what I would ask that person to do. I want you to go, if you could have a time machine, to go back to one Alabama football practice. If you don't even have to go to the practice now. If maybe obviously Saban's out of the game, you go up to Athens, you go up to a Georgia practice. You don't even have to go inside. You just stand outside the gates. If you've ever been to Athens, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Stand around the gates because Kirby's going to be on that megaphone. And you're going to probably hear some things that you've never heard in your life.
You want to say something else on that megaphone? Well, he on something else, too.
Holy cow, man. I mean, I just thought that was hilarious. And Bama fans, here's what I hope. And I would expect this to be the case given the kind of fandom that we see from College Game Day and the signs. Oh, I want to see some signs. I pray that College Game Day goes down to Alabama at some point this year, because those signs
are going to be everywhere.
Yeah, this person who complained, they better be glad their name isn't out there, because that name would be on a lot of signs with some choice language. Okay.
The next Harvey Updike.
Who's that?
The guy who poisoned Toomer's Corner.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Man. Yeah, he would be. Or she would be. I don't know. But look, Saban, here's one other thing I can tell you. Saban isn't using those words to try to be funny. He's reined that in probably about 100% compared to, that's just the way that joker talks. Hey, and guess what? Here's the other thing. It is funny.
Yeah.
We can admit that, right?
Yeah.
Now, Pat McAfee dropping F-bombs on ESPN. Okay, I'll go with you there. If anybody needs to be, go.
So did Corso.
Well, that was, again, that's one of the funniest things I've ever seen on College Game Day. And also, you can't complain about Lee Corso because he probably doesn't even know he said it at that point. We don't know how. At some point, there was some times on College Game Day where it's like, is Lee Corso like maybe just closing his eyes for a minute, or is he still with us? That was really the conversation there.
All right, say, man. Poor Lee.
Oh, poor Lee. I'm glad we got him out of there. Dude, I'm glad we got Lou Holtz out.
Yeah.
I want Lou Holtz, Lee Corso, Terry Bradshaw, all in on the same, trying to break down it. And Jimmy Johnson. Yep. Bring those four jokers, put them on the same table, and let's get a program on. And we're going to have a competition for how much you can understand. You'll have to write it out. What are those? That's a job. What do those people do in court? Did they type out everything?
I know who you're talking.
That's
on the funny little thing.
Yeah, that's how we'll have that'll be the new hiring standard. If you can understand what Corso, Holtz, Jimmy Johnson, and Terry Bradshaw are trying to say, then here's your job. Here's your job. We'll give you the biggest pay. But yeah, I thought that was funny. UNLV's under financial difficulties. And Dan Mullen might not even be getting his full contract. The AD came out and said that they are $26 million in debt, and they can only, as of right now, only afford to pay the first 2 years of Dan Mullen's 5-year, $17.5 million contract. What in the world is going on over there in Vegas? Mullen ain't going to stand for that now. Because guess what? UNLV is one of those sleeper teams to come out and represent a group of 5 and potentially get a playoff berth. And if that even comes close to happening, Mullen's going to be standing there with his hand out saying, hey, I know I've been out of the game and I've only been back for a year, but how about we talk about a contract extension?
He might only get a year if he gets those bonoses, those contract bonuses.
Oh, my gosh.
They shorten that contract down to a year.
Good gracious.
Take those bonuses to the Palms and flip it to make his next salary.
He's going to be right back on SEC Network and throwing out shady tweets about Napier every time he wins a football game over there at Florida. Here's the thing. Barry Odom was there, and he goes to Purdue, and Purdue's actually paying that buyout. So Purdue is paying them $3 million to UNLV because Odom left. And I don't even know if that's contributing to this or not. Like, hopefully that adds, and they're a little bit less in debt with that. But how do we get to a situation like this where we're, we just signed you. Hey, I know we signed you to a 5-year deal like 2 months ago, but as of right now, we can only give you 2 years. So hopefully the fan base comes through and we win some football games and they come in with the NIL checks and everything like that for the fan base, or else we don't know if you're going to be able to be paid. That's insane. To wrap things up today on Stadium Pulse, one quick note. We broke down all of the new NIL rules last week and the week before, and everything that's changing now. And we told you about how one of the 3 big changes, as far as there's 1, transfer limit on transfer players. 2, it's the salary cap, the $20.5 million. You can't go over it, and you got to prove it. And the 3, the NIL deals have to be actual NIL deals. They have to be proof of business, proof of concept, all that stuff. Anything over $600, it can't just be a pay to play. And so what this new CEO is doing is he's creating a board of 10 ADs. Kentucky's ADs on there. Texas A&M's ADs on there, Georgia Tech's ADs on there, and so they'll be in charge of it. There's 10 of them spread out throughout college football, and they will be handling the security and making sure that these are actual NIL deals. We got to get out here a tad early today. I appreciate you guys watching. Appreciate y'all hanging out with Tennessee Nick and I. See a lot of y'all on social media watching, and a couple of you in the chat today. So hop in next week. Hop in next week with your off-season questions, and we'll get those answered. Live from TPC in just a couple of minutes from 10 to 1, Brent and Austin show. Brent's out there. And we'll be breaking down James Gladstone's press conference yesterday. What did you think, now that we're 4 or 5 days away, removed from Monday's 9 signings? Gladstone explains it. We break it down. What could it mean for the draft, specifically at number 5 in the first round for the Jacksonville Jaguars? And we'll give you updates live updates from TPC, the Players Championship. That's coming up on the Brent and Austin show. And we'll see you again right here next Friday for another hour of college football talk as we continue to ramp up towards the 2026 football season. Have a good Friday, everybody.
When it comes to trucks, I know exactly what I want. And at Bozard Ford, they make it easy to get exactly that. Let's go make this truck a little more my style. With Bozard Built, I can create my perfect truck right here. Lift kit? Check. Premium wheels? You bet. Advanced lighting package? Oh yeah. The Bozard team works their magic. From bumper to tailgate, I'm making this truck mine. It's everything that I wanted and more. From the field to the gym to weekend adventures. This truck's built for my journey. Bozard Built. Customized for your lifestyle, built to exceed your expectations. Check out the inventory and available options at bozardbuilt.com. Unleash your dream ride. Customized, covered, and Bozard approved.
When it's time to get a new car for anyone in your family, just remember, nobody but Nimnick, the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville. Get the latest price breaks on 2023 and 2024 models or the newest 2025 vehicles in the showroom on Phillips Highway, or shop online at nimnickbuickgmc.com 24 hours a day. GMC Sierras, Yukons, and the redesigned Acadias, or get the all-new redesigned line with Buicks. It's nobody but Nimnick, and part of the reason why is this is a first-class buying experience here at Nimnick Buick GMC. You're not just a customer, you're a friend. This is about getting a vehicle that best fits you and getting you on the road, and also helping you and your family down the road. Nimnick has a treating you right guarantee, courtesy, respect, fairness. And most Buicks, GMCs, and Jacksonville's only Car Bravo dealer, nobody but Nimnick. Who has put in the most years and stands behind a better experience? Nobody but Nimnick. GMC. We are professional grade. If you need a quality play this football season at your home, call That One Painter First Coast. Locally owned and operated, experienced employees, no builder grade materials. And there's more, and for that we throw it to Noah Schlicksup. That One Painter First Coast can apparently help your kicking game too.
Well, after my failure on skinny sticks last year on Creekside game day, I've spent a lot of time out here at Creekside practicing my kicks. There's only one issue. How is that even possible? The good news is I know exactly who can help. That One Painter can handle all your painting needs, from field goal posts to cabinets to stucco.